Self-awareness is important because when we have a better understanding of ourselves, we are able to experience ourselves as unique and separate individuals. We are then empowered to make change and to build on our areas of strength, as well as to identify areas where we would like to make improvements. You might ask, how does a student learn this in music lessons? Self-awareness is about learning to better understand why you feel, what you feel, and why you behave in a particular way. Once you begin to understand this concept, you then have the opportunity and freedom to change things about yourself, which enables you to create the life you want. Helping our students at Bartell Music Academy have clarity about who they are and what they want to achieve can be empowering and transformational. And this is one reason we love teaching music. Here are 3 steps I personally incorporate when I teach. The first step in having a good self-perspective is asking good questions. During performance preparations, levels of anxiety can show up in students. As a teacher, one of the very first areas I focus on is to find out what question the students are asking themselves. While we are always asking ourselves questions throughout the day, one question is asked over and over. It shapes who we are, what we do, and why we do it. Asking the same question several times a day begins to shape our outlook on life. Here's an interesting factor. When you ask a question, your brain is designed to come up with answers and evidence to support what you believe. Here's the catch. Your brain doesn't question the question, and this is where things can go very wrong. Our brain is designed to protect and keep us from harm. It is wired to look at what is wrong and how to fix it. So during performance preparations, I absolutely love teaching my students this life skill, as this is when their primary question can be addressed. A student begins to play, and inevitably a note error creeps in. As he or she continues to play, more mistakes are made. Adrenaline is building, and the body starts to go into a fight or flight mode. At that moment, I know the question has just been asked multiple times. It's different for every student, but the most common question is, what's wrong with me? The brain gives the answers and evidence to support what the student believes, and it's not always positive. The beautiful thing about discovering each student's primary question is that once it's carefully brought into the open, that question can be changed. For example, instead of the question, what's wrong with me, with the brain suggesting responses, we can ask a better question. How can I lean into my strengths to better navigate this passage? Better questions will get better answers. Step 2, influence your language. A lot of us are familiar with the constant conference meetings going on in our heads. Interestingly, the way we speak to ourselves directly affects the way we experience life as a whole. If our self-talk is constantly negative, our experiences of life on a daily basis will be negative. On the flip side, and this is a learned habit, if we make our internal conversations positive, we can expect to have more positive external experiences. Internal self-talk is evident through body language as well. I can see in my students when negative talk is happening, as their physical movements give it away, or they just start getting very frustrated when their fingers aren't doing what they want them to do. Soon, the conversation going on in their head starts slipping out. During these times, helping students recognize and change their internal language produces a different external result. Negative talk tenses the body, and when you are rigid and stressed, it's hard to play beautiful music, much less enjoy the process. We are in the habit of storing lots of words for our negative emotions and very few words for happy, positive emotions. Thankfully, in music, we have to access lots of different emotions and maintain some balance of positive and negative, but more on the positive. The more a student can deliberately, consciously have a positive vocabulary, the more influential and powerful is their expression through their music, and the more positive external experiences they will have in life. Step 3, telling the right story. Many times we put extreme pressure on ourselves for a variety of reasons, but one main reason is the stories we tell ourselves in our heads. Negative self-talk is the cue that the story I tell myself needs to be changed. When we tell ourselves a story about something that happens in our life, told over and over, it creates a belief system which eventually creates an identity we take on. It also dictates what we believe we can or can't do in life. If we only put in practice this one tool I'm about to share, this has the potential to completely change a person's life. This is why I love teaching, as music brings out these stories in my students, and I have the honor of helping them change their stories for the better. New story equals new experience. Becoming conscious of the stories we tell ourselves is the first step in shifting our mindset, which then affects what we do and how we approach life. A couple of stories music students and a lot of other people tell themselves is, I have to be perfect. Perfection puts limits on our own capabilities. Playing a song perfectly feels good in the moment, but growth takes place during the learning process of making mistakes. We gently teach our students to learn to accept making mistakes, especially during the learning process. And when they do, there's less tension, and we can help them use those moments to achieve the next level in musicianship, because now the focus is in the right place, which will help them play so much better. Another story I hear a lot is, I'm not good enough. I hear this more among my teenagers, and it makes sense as this age group is experiencing a lot of emotions and developing their identity and belief about themselves. Because music is a form of expression, these stories, if you know how to recognize them, come out pretty quickly, obviously, in various forms. But the root of each story is the same. It works this way. The process of learning music brings out the internal story through the ways a student expresses their music. We music teachers help identify the story, and the student is then able to change or shift the story so they can experience their music on a completely different level and experience life on a new level. Changing one story is just countering the previous story with an empowering story. Then we support the story with logical evidence, pretty simple, and then we attach emotion to it through music, giving the student an anchor. As we know, music can evoke emotion. Coupled with a good story, music creates a strong confidence in the student, true self-awareness, and a healthy perspective they will carry and positively impact their life. Sometimes you have to weed the garden to make room for the flowers. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell below for notifications. And if you'd like to get a copy of our free ebook, The 5 Essential Life Skills Developed Through Music, the link will be below in the description. Let me know in the comments below what your primary question is and what you're changing it to, or what positive new words you're adding to your vocabulary, and or what your old story was and what your new story is. The content in this video totally changed my life, and it's why I'm so passionate to make sure my music students learn all these life skills regardless of what age they are. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time.